Saturn, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm alive.
You sound like you're 90% here, which is a big improvement from how you sounded yesterday.
I feel about 90%. That's a pretty accurate number. Theoretically, I probably could have waited another day or two, but I was excited to get this episode out, and I'm excited to stop worrying about getting this episode out. So that's also,
right,
another thing. But yeah, I last night I joined. I came in just to say hi. And as soon as I joined, you're like, please don't record.
You sounded
you
so
sound terrible.
Bad.
Just
man, I was so worried about you in that moment. I was like, are you currently dead? Did that happen?
Oh man, it's it's like a head cold. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm on my deathbed.
Right.
I have to get up and medicate, and then my head drains, and and then you got to take the pain meds to deal with the pain, and it's the whole ordeal. So
I decided what it was is because we were recording the Pac-Man episode, you had caught Pac-Man fever.
That's what it was. Turns out Pac-Man fever, not fun. You think it would be fun? It's not. It's not.
Also highly contagious.
Yeah. It's honestly really dangerous. Just
please consult your physician.
The song did not treat it with the appropriate amount of gravitas. They really should have, thought that one through.
Right. Yeah, they were pretty lighthearted about that in retrospect.
I mean, the media downplaying
people
terrible
got very
illness. That's
sick.
That's never going to happen again.
Never. No,
we're topical now. It's 2022. Hey. We're topical now.
Right. Hey, you remember 2 years ago when we started doing a COVID watch segment? Because we were like, let's just put all that news in one segment because COVID will be over here pretty soon. And people wonder why we're covering all this.
Now we live in the COVID watch.
Right.
It's every day is a COVID watch.
Seriously.
I've yet to get my COVID test back.
Uh-oh.
They took a test on Friday, and they were like, we're out of the rapids. You're going to have to wait for the lab, blah, 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 blah. And that was a Friday afternoon. And they're like, well, we'll probably have it Monday afternoon because weekend.
Yeah.
And so I've just been sitting here waiting on it. And in my head, I'm like, I hope I don't have COVID. That'd be real sucky if I did. I've had no fever, loss of smell or taste. It really just seems like head cold. But I'm also super vaccinated. So maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. I have no idea.
Right. Yeah, I am also paranoid about it. And now, so at the office, we have started the new policy where anyone who is unvaccinated must be tested.
Right.
And they finally found a separate standalone office for people to test in, but they don't want anyone in there with them because of the health risks. So they just set up a webcam for them to test in front of.
Okay.
And then
so you have to go in there, stand in front of a webcam, and swab yourself like the beginning of Blade Runner,
right? and then
it's very dystopian feeling.
And then my boss was like, "I don't know if we want to put a whole bunch of tests in there because somebody could just steal them. You think you could just run a test in there whenever someone's testing?" I was like, "Hold on. You don't want someone in there because they might get sick, so that you put in a webcam. But it's okay for me to just run a test in there." He was like. Oh, yeah, that's probably a bad idea.
Right.
Maybe we'll just keep 4 or 5 in there.
It's funny how long we've been living this reality, but we all still seem to randomly forget shit. We're like, oh, yeah.
Right. Like somebody retired on Friday, and on his way out, he was like, well, it was good working with you. And he put out his hand, and I almost shook it. And I was like, wait a second. You almost tricked me.
You.
I saw that.
You trickster! When I went to the doctor, I showed up. I've got coughing and sore throat and stuff, so I have COVID symptoms, and so they're like, everyone that comes in the room is fully latexed up and covered in blast shields and stuff. Right. It's like talking to stormtroopers.
Yeah,
and my doctor came in and went to give me an elbow bump as a greeting. But I didn't know what he was doing.
Right.
I was like, are you going to hit me? What are you doing? I was just like, this is how I die. My doctor's going to assault me while I'm at my lowest point. And then I was like, oh, elbow. Okay. Yeah. I see. You could have just not touched me. I would have been okay with that. I'm not that guy that's like, well, you didn't touch me, so we're not friends.
Right. I needed to know you weren't about to attack me.
The worst part was in my head. I was like, well, thank God I don't have to shake his hand because I already don't like doing that. Like that's I'm not sad that handshakes have gone away because they're weird.
Yeah.
You know, you always get the people that it's like, I feel like a handshake is like, you know, it should be less than 3 seconds total. Really more like 1 to 2 seconds, like grab, shake up and down one time, brief eye contact, done. You're done.
Yeah,
that's the handshake.
Right.
You know. But all the time, you get people that like, they do a few things. This is the one I run into a lot. They don't look at their hand when they're going to shake your hand. They look at your eyes.
Yeah.
And then they miss your hand. Yeah. And you're like, oh, this is weird.
The worst for me are the dead hand.
And you're like, do I shake it or do you have like a bad hand? I don't want to like shake the hell out of your messed up hand.
Yeah, it's just weird. I've always been a handshake or hug kind of guy with friends and family. So it is a little weird for me, but I'm fine with it. I am fine with not getting sick, so I have adjusted.
The other one is the person that wants to have the whole rest of the conversation while shaking your hand. And you're like trying to pull, but those people are also the ones with the iron grip, so you can't even pull away. You're like, please stop. Yeah. Please just stop doing this. I want to get away from you.
I used to have a manager that would do that, and it drove me insane.
My family has started doing, because the men in my family shake hands. That's what we've always done.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, when you shake their hand, they bring you in for the handshake hug combo.
Oh, yeah.
But then they don't let go of your hands, so they just squish your clasped hands between your guts. And you're like, this is my elbows sticking out. This is weird. Why don't you
only getting worse?
Just going for a hug, man.
Right.
Like, why are you making it weird?
Yeah, well, they have to keep a base level of masculinity involved, so there still has to be hand contact the whole time.
I mean, as all men know, when men hug, you're supposed to pat each other on the back.
Oh, yeah.
There's the back pat, right?
Right, yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why that's a thing.
It's true.
Like I would never pat my grandma on the back, but like if my grandpa hugged me, I would feel the urge to pat him on the back. I don't know why.
Yeah.
You know, it's like some kind of weird. It just occurred to me how strange that is as I was saying it.
With most of my family, it was never a big deal to hug men, women. Nobody seemed to mind, except for my mom's father. He was very against hugging, and then
which is fine. Some people, whatever.
But then after he turned 80, he was suddenly a big fan of it.
Yeah.
And it was so awkward because every time I hugged him, it was like hugging an alien who had never actually experienced it before.
He didn't have the decades of experience.
Right. So it would be very awkward every time. And it didn't help that he was so old that, he was starting to become frail.
Right.
So it was awkward and he was frail, and it was always a very strange time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's I used to not like hugging. And I've in the last, since COVID started, I've decided that I'm just going to hug people now. It was really just like, I was just like, man, life's too fucking short to not like hug the people you care about kind of thing.
Yeah.
But some people in my, like Andrew was like, this is fucking weird. And I think it was because Andrew's a hugger. He hugs everybody, but he never would hug me because he knew that I didn't hug.
Yeah. And he's also known you for so long. So it's been established.
So the first time after I decided, I was like, I'm just going to hug people.
Yeah.
And when I went to leave his house, I had to tell him because he would have avoided hugging me at all costs if he would have been in his head thinking like, there's no way he's coming in for a hug. I'm going to avoid this.
Right.
So to make it not awkward, I said, I'm going to hug you now.
That's how you make it less awkward. You announce it like a robot.
Just to warn him. And he goes, oh, okay. And I go in and I hug him and he was like, this is so weird. And I was like, it's not that weird for me. But you know what? If I'll tell you this much, if every time someone went to have contact with me, they announced it beforehand, that would make my life so much better. To have people be like, I'm going to fist bump you now so that I don't try to shake their hand. You know what I mean? Like, just tell me. Just come up to me and be like, let's shake hands. I know we sound stupid.
Yeah.
But we'll avoid so much uncomfortableness.
Yeah, my boss, ever since COVID, has done the awkward go back and forth between fist bump and elbow bump. And the worst is when I remember what he did last time and try to do that, he will change it up again. And I'm like, damn it, just pick one.
He can't decide.
Right.
He's not sure. You know.
Yeah, fortunately, we have a full clean room for diagnostic testing at my office, where you do the full gown up. You got the face masks and the face shield and the gloves and everything. And that has made COVID so much easier up there. Like before COVID, I hated going towards the clean room, but now I'm like, finally, this is my safe bubble.
Yeah, finally, I don't have to worry about shit. I'm fine.
I'm going to go shake someone's hand right now.
Hey, you want a back rub? Just like, get real in there, you know?
Yeah.
The clean room's now the back rub room. So we've
installed massage chairs in there.
We're so tense and sick. It's just a nice break. All right. I guess we should start the show. I don't know how long my voice is going to last.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that too. So, let's make sure that you're at least as close to 100% as we can get.
I've already muted myself like 700 times to sniffle or cough or something. So I'm.
That's fine. I do that every episode. That's normal.
Pour myself some fresh tea.
Yesterday, I don't remember if it was just before we started the show or just after we finished. I had gone to blow my nose and I forgot to mute first. And Guy was like, "Oh wow, that was in my ear now."
Honk.
Right.
It's my impression of you blowing your nose.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
I've been workshopping it.
I mostly sound like a Muppet.
Yeah. All right, we'll get started.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Retro Warriors episode 340.
Woo!
As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker, and as always, I'm joined by resident old bastard, Chris Saturn.
Can I trust you?
I don't know.
Are you the real Justin?
I guess I shouldn't even say as always anymore. Finally, there's been a show that I that's the first show I've missed.
Yeah. I've missed a couple episodes. It's been like 250, 300 episodes or something.
I think there's been like 2.
Yeah, 1 or 2.
Maybe 3 if we're like probably, I think 2. I want to say 2.
And you still say as always when you announce me, so
there you go.
We have established for hundreds of episodes that you're just lying. So it's
as
not going to matter.
Always and forever, never shall it change.
Right.
So yeah, as far as housekeeping, I still am sick. I have been sick.
You sound so much better than you did when we were about to record that previous episode, last week's episode. So I'm glad that you are sounding better at least. Hopefully you're also feeling better.
Guy graciously covered for me and hosted the show for me because I'm like 80-90% right now. But and I can probably get through an episode, but I'm definitely not getting through 2.
Yeah,
you know, because when for people that don't know, we record in batches,
right?
So when we record 2 episodes, and it's a good 4 hours of talking, being on mic.
It's a lot.
You know, because the episodes are usually between an hour and a half, and then there's pre-show and uncut and in-between stuff and technical things. I mean, it really is. It's a 4-hour block of just nonstop talking.
Right.
For me anyway, because I never shut up, which is why I have to host the show, because I'm going to talk the most anyway. So I might as well.
How have you been handling that? Because I assume that you're talking all the time, even when we're not recording.
Oh, I do. I'm a talker. It's hard. It's real hard not talking.
Yeah.
Because yesterday was the only day where it was like, I cannot speak. When I woke up, I was like, nothing comes out of me, except snot. Snot comes out of me,
right?
Instead of words.
I imagine your wife and daughter were both like, "What's wrong with him? He's not talking."
It's so quiet.
We can't hear Daddy's voice
this whole time because I got sick Tuesday night. I couldn't clear my throat when I was going to bed. And then Wednesday, I was not feeling great, a little bit of a sore throat. I didn't think much of it. And then Thursday, it was like I got hit by a truck. And then Thursday and Friday were bad. Saturday was real bad in the morning, but then by the evening, I felt like I was kind of coming out of it.
Yeah.
Basically, as long as I always have peppermint tea and a humidifier, I feel okay. Which right next to me right now is a peppermint tea and a humidifier,
just enough to make you feel human.
Yeah. So so I can get there.
That's good.
And so my other problem is Wednesday night. No, it was Tuesday night. Tuesday night, I was feeling bad. One of the nights
It's Sunday now for the record, for people trying to.
One of the nights I didn't want to skip my workout, so I went to the gym and I worked out. Because in my head, because when I get like real sinusy from like allergies and stuff, working out actually helps. It helps like clear my. I guess because like your body gets going and it like I don't know. But if I'm like feeling sinusy and I go work out, it helps clear it out.
All right.
And I went and worked out, and that was a mistake. Oh, boy. I came in, and I could not catch my breath. I was like, oh, my God. It was bad.
That's rough.
And finally, I went to the doctor. I'm still waiting on my COVID test. There is a non-zero chance I currently actively have COVID.
That's terrifying.
I hope I don't. I've not had any fever, loss of smell. Really just has kind of seemed like an upper respiratory thing. But usually, I rarely lose my voice, even when I do get real sick.
Right.
It's rare for me to not be able to talk. And of course, the whole time I was sick, I dictate everything on my phone in Discord, as anyone who's in our Discord knows, because of my constant typos.
Right.
And I wouldn't quit dictating.
Yeah, so that sounds like you.
I was talking to Pablo and I was trying to tell him like the uncuts are going to be late, and I'm like, the uncuts are coming. And it typed something about cats, and I didn't look at my message. I hit send and I put my phone down. And then he was like, what about cats? What is happening? And I was like, I'm dying. I'm sorry.
Why don't you just type? Especially when you're feeling that sick. Why don't you just type?
I don't wanna. I don't know. I don't know. But my holiday, this is my first recording since the holidays.
Welcome back.
It was real nice having a break. I spent most of it playing Halo.
Mm-hmm.
I watched so many movies, and then the last few days I've been sick, and I can't play games when I'm sick. Because I have like real bad association. Like if I play a game while I'm sick, the next time I go to play that game, I'll remember being sick. If that makes sense,
right?
You know? Or like I can't even like, because I get migraines. If I have a real bad migraine and I play a game and I go back to that game, it'll give me a migraine.
Oh, that sucks.
It's the weirdest thing. So when I'm sick, all I do is watch TV and movies. That's it. I lay in bed and I watch TV.
Well, does the same happen with that, where if you go back and watch that same movie again?
No, oddly enough, I don't know what it is. I don't know why. But I've watched, I think in the last 4 days, maybe 40 hours of television. Because I've not been working. I've not been recording. I've just been in bed watching TV. I watched in multiple seasons of multiple shows. I watched a dozen movies, Blu-rays. Like I've gone through everything.
Nice.
And during the holidays, I also was on a big movie kick, specifically a big tokusatsu movie kick. So I've watched a lot of Gamera, I've watched a lot of Godzilla, picked up a lot of Blu-rays.
Nice.
I've been watching a lot of Shaw Brothers, Kung Fu films.
I saw you got some Ultraman Blu-rays.
I did. I got 4 seasons of Ultraman, and I played a lot more Halo Infinite, played a good bit more Pokemon. And then a little bit more Forza, and that was kind of it. I really kind of not took a break from games, but just didn't,
you weren't focused on them.
I didn't have. I was like, I don't have to play anything for the show. I don't have to play anything if I don't want to. Not to say like the show is work,
right.
But it kind of is
sometimes.
And so I got to just like not,
especially the way that you play games for the show, where you feel like you must absolutely experience every moment of the game.
Right.
So I can understand how you get that.
But yeah, it was a good holiday.
Good.
Ended up having a pretty good time.
Nice.
It was Christmas. It was what Christmas normally is.
Yeah. Right.
But other than that, how was your week?
Well, I mentioned last time that I spent my holiday playing a shitload of games. So the opposite of yours, basically. Because I'd had so much time off of work. And I didn't even get through all the games that I played during that last time. So other games that I played since then, Vandal Heart's Judgment of Flames, which is a Xbox 360 arcade sequel to a PS1 game.
Isn't that a PS1 JRPG?
It's a strategy JRPG.
Okay, weird shift, but all right.
Yes, and they moved it from PS1 to Xbox Live Arcade. I think it's also on PS3. I think it's also downloadable on PS3. Yeah. But it's it definitely has that same budget feel that a lot of those downloadable games that era had. But the gameplay is still very much just basic Vandal Hearts. So it's like your first strategy RPG. Very simplistic, minimal thinking involved. Characters come back after they die, things like that. So that was neat. I also started playing some Civ 6 because people in the chat were playing Civ 6, and so I felt the need to go back to it because I didn't give it much of a chance after I bought it. I was like, it feels like more Civ 5, and I don't care, and I just ran away. But I did go back to it, and I'm giving it more of a chance now. I'm trying to actually be open about it because with both Civ 5 and Civ 6, I basically was just like, well, this isn't like old Civ, so I don't like it. But I'm trying to give it a chance now, and I am enjoying it more than I did last time. I don't know that I will ever enjoy it as much as I enjoy Classic Civ, but it's definitely got something going for it. It feels much meatier than old Civ does. Like it feels like there's more going on, but that might just be because I'm still learning what is new in it.
Yeah, Civ 6 is one that I think I own it on EGS. I've never booted it, not one time.
Yeah. It's fine. If you enjoyed Civ 5, you'll probably enjoy it. But
I like Civ 5. I honestly, if I'm being really honest, I have not loved any Civilization game.
I loved Civ 2 through 4.
I think a lot of it is I've only ever played them by myself, which I think
that's mostly how I played Civ. Almost exclusively is by myself.
4 was always far too complex because, of course, I got into 4 after all the expansions were out.
Yeah, that's when it got
good. So I'm jumping in and it's like so complex. It's already a complex and deep game,
right?
But then I'm stacking all the expansion content on top of that,
right?
And it's a lot. Man.
The best thing about 4 though is it has the world builder that you can enter at any time, and just give yourself tanks.
There you go.
And so if it's 3800 BC and a barbarian shows up and things are hard, you're just like, but what if tanks? And then you have tanks.
Just like real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I did play some Final Fantasy 13. One of the guys in the Discord has started playing Final Fantasy 13 for his first time. And so I am trying to replay it to see if I still enjoy it. Because I didn't hate it the first time. A lot of people were really negative about it.
It's one that I keep meaning to return to because I liked it. I still had major problems with it, but I still overall liked it.
Yeah.
Once you look past the character, the pacing, the story, and most of the gameplay.
Yeah, so I'm playing it on my Xbox Series X because it has the 4K enhancements on there.
Right.
And it does look nice, but it's weird because all of the polygons are rendered in 4K, so they look really nice. The cinematics are up-resed in some way too, so they look nice. But then anytime there's any text on the screen or any menu overlay, it's the original 720p from the Xbox 360. No. So it's just this really jarring presentation. But once you get past that, it is the same game. And I'm remembering one of my biggest complaints with the game is a lot of the random battles are so simple that you can just auto battle them and you end up completely zoning out. And I find myself doing other things during battle. Like I'll just jam on the A button while I'm reading something on my phone or on my computer.
As you do, yeah.
And then every now and then, like every 10th battle with the exact same enemies as those last 9 battles, suddenly they get the upper hand and they kill you.
Yeah.
And you look up and you're like, oh shit, I died somehow. Fuck. And then you just retry the battle, but then you still just jam the A button and win.
Right.
Which makes bosses difficult because they actually require you to pay attention. And so that it does have a weird dynamic there. Yeah. But I'm going to see if I can push through. I did pick up Spookware on the Steam sale, which is the WarioWare sequel I always wanted.
I've heard it described as like WarioWare by way of horror.
Not even horror, by way of skeleton jokes. It's
terrifying horror. Then yes,
yeah. No, it's basically like every Halloween spooky skeleton meme mixed with WarioWare, mixed with Paper Mario graphics, and parodies of old like early 20th century horror movies. And then a voiceover that occasionally just says "hell yeah" at you.
Yeah, of course.
And it's so dumb, but it pulls it all off in just the perfect way that makes it not feel dumb.
Right.
Like it all feels so intentionally done that you can't help but enjoy it. So if you enjoy WarioWare, definitely pick it up. I got it on Steam for $6 on the sale.
Yeah.
I think it's back up to regular price, but still, it's worth keeping an eye out for at least.
Yeah.
But the game that I've played the most over the last 2 weeks is Inscription, which is, as we previously mentioned, a meta horror card game roguelite.
Two of the three of those things you don't like.
Normally, no, but it's so good. The card game mechanics. That was the part I was most worried about. I was like, I really don't want to have to deal with a fucking card game and learn how all this works and deal with all these like deck building and everything. But because it is roguelite, at least for the first act of the game, there is no deck building. Every time you die, your deck is destroyed and you start over again, and you just have to hope for the best.
See, that also sounds like something you would hate.
That makes the card game better for me, just because it's more like a traditional card game where you're just dealt some cards and figure it out. That I like. It's the deck building part that always overwhelms me. In fact, when you get to Act 2, it introduces deck building, and I liked the game a lot less suddenly.
Yeah.
And I had to push through that. But it's really neat because the way that it works is the cost you have to pay to play each card is blood, and you get blood by killing your other cards that are already on the table. So you have to sacrifice cards you've already played in order to play a new card. So if you want to play a good card, you're basically wiping out all the cards you've played on the table in order to play something new, which does add a layer of strategy. And for all I know, every card game ever has already done that. But it is neat. It pulls it off well. It is at least worth trying out the demo if you haven't played it yet, because it's got a lot of charm and personality.
I've said it before, and I still maintain it. I feel like you would like Slay the Spire, and I know I've said it a million times.
I hear that from a lot of people, and
because there is no real the deck building in Slay the Spire is like you pick a class, and that class has it's the same deck every time, so you know what you're getting. And then the deck building is like, oh, hey, after an encounter or two, here's 2 different cards. Which one do you want? And you're like, I don't know. That, it's so mild.
It always makes me worried, though, because the few pictures that I've seen, and I should probably look to see if there's a demo or something I can try.
The still image of the game, the art looks like shit in screenshots. It looks like dog shit.
Yeah, it worries me.
It looks like
I should just try it at some point.
I didn't play it for the longest time because I was like, that looks like a Flash game. I don't want to play that.
Right?
And then I played it, and no, for whatever reason, in motion, it doesn't bother me at all. But on like screenshots, I was like, why would I? I'll go to Newgrounds if I want to play that.
Right.
Let's do the news.
Yeah,
we're still kind of catching up on the news a little bit.
First up, we're almost up to the present. We're gonna get there.
Yeah, we're getting there. First up, Wikipedia was ported to Game Boy via a Wi-Fi cartridge.
Yes.
Also able to stream movies to it through this, and they look exactly like you expect they would, which is to say bad.
Yeah, somebody showed off, I think it was Star Wars The Last Jedi running on an original Game Boy. The way it was meant to be seen.
Yeah. Taito's Egret 2 mini arcade cabinet is getting a Western release from Strictly Limited Games.
I am kind of excited about this.
Is this the one with the rotating screen?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. I have the Astro City Mini.
Yeah.
And I never, ever play it.
Yeah, we were talking last week when you weren't here about the new Astro City Mini coming out with the Taint Mode screen. But we didn't have you here to.
Now that one's it's a fixed Tate Mode screen, right?
Yes.
Or Tate mode screen. Please don't write in Tate.
I did pronounce it Tate last week, and Guy called me out. He was like, I would have pronounced that wrong, and I was like, I intentionally pronounced it correctly just to show that I'm better than Justin.
Yeah, I don't know. The guy was around for the whole taint mode.
I don't think he had joined us yet when we had first done the taint mode.
The only time we ever had to issue a separate correction because we got so many write-ins. I love that there are new mini arcades coming out. I don't know how many of them I'm gonna get, but we'll see.
Yeah, I haven't bought any of them yet, but this one is kind of tempting me, but it doesn't have any of my favorite Taito games on it. Yeah, so I am a little worried there.
Fans have ported 8-bit Sonic to the C64 and made a port of F-Zero to the ZX Spectrum, which looks terrible.
Yes, but the port of Sonic to the C64 looks great.
Yeah.
It sounds like a C64 game. So if you're not familiar with the Commodore's sound chip, which some people love and some people hate, you might end up really being offended by the audio in it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's a good port.
Limited edition mother-themed Casio G-Shock announced for the price of 23,100 yen. That's roughly $200.
Yeah, that's a watch, by the way.
That is a watch. Yeah, pardon me.
Most of us aren't familiar with the Casio G-Shock. So
yeah, for people somehow unfamiliar with the G-Shock line, I don't know. Now, someone said that's crazy expensive for Casio. For people that don't know, the particular Casio G-Shock that it is a mother version of usually runs about $100-$140.
Yeah,
and so it's not a huge markup for the mother branding on it.
Right, which, for the record, the mother branding is there is a mother logo, and underneath the time it says Smash, like it would in Earthbound.
If it was the same cost as that regular G-Shock, I might get it. I really might, because that's the atomic G-Shock. It's the tough solar variant that uses the atomic clock, the radio signal to set the time. Mineral crystal front. It's a nice G-Shock.
I'm so glad you were back for this news item. We needed your Casio expertise for that one.
I'm just saying, if you're in the market for a G-Shock, you got the classic DW5600, right? That's your $40 G-Shock. But this one is a nice G-Shock. This is Sega and Lego announced a Sonic the Hedgehog Lego set, which is already available as of this recording. So yes. it's go get it.
It looks weird.
It looks weird. Yeah. I guess because Sonic, especially over the years since the Dreamcast era, has continued to become more and more sleek. Everything's real sleek and aerodynamic looking.
Yeah.
And this is like weird. It's just weird seeing chonky Sonic stuff. Even Eggman, they put him on those little sleek, spindly legs,
right.
Made him real smooth. Final Fantasy 16 development delayed by at least 6 months, putting it in the 2030s, I believe. Current estimated release date of that one.
No, they won't say when it'll come out, just that it's at least pushed back by 6 months.
But it's going to come out.
Yeah, eventually.
Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi says he's been following the development of an unannounced new game from Yasumi Matsuno, the creator of Final Fantasy Tactics, Tactics Ogre, and Vagrant Story. So that is an exciting idea.
That's such a weird way to announce something. Have your friend announce that he is interested in it.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
But still, the idea that Matsuno's making another game that would presumably be strategy-esque,
he does tend to dabble in that.
The Panda GameCube controller that we talked about a few weeks ago has been canceled before release.
Aw.
They have refunded all Kickstarter funding, which was nice of them because I don't know that they're technically legally required to do that.
Yeah, and others have chosen not to.
Yeah, so they said they are still pursuing additional funding elsewhere,
right?
But they were not going to be able to do it for the initial promise. So, Saga series creator working on a remaster, a remake, and a new game in the series. Those are 3 games.
Yeah,
3 separate games.
Yeah, if I had to guess, the remaster will be the PS2 Romancing Saga.
Yeah,
or maybe Saga Frontier 2.
I keep wanting to kind of delve into the Saga games, but it just never feels like there's a great place to start,
The Game Boy ones.
Yeah, I know, but then I want to start on the ones with a little bit more meat on their bones, and I don't know.
I don't know that I've ever enjoyed any of the games in the series nearly as much as I enjoyed the Game Boy games.
Really? Maybe I just need to get the Game Boy collection and just call it done.
Right.
Where were we? Xbox achievement list for GoldenEye 007 is found via data mine of Xbox Live Network, includes screenshots of N64 game on achievements. So this is all but confirmed GoldenEye 007 for the Xbox.
Yeah, and what's funny is 2 people already have a bunch of the achievements for it, and they both happen to work for Rare. So that's
how strange.
Yeah.
MAME has removed support for Akai Katana and Dodonpachi after C&D from rights holders.
Yeah, apparently a new company at some point in the last few years acquired the rights to a lot of those shooters. And what's weird is MAME removing support for it because they've never done that before. They have no legal obligation to do so because...
Right, but they also have no legal ability to fight it because money.
Right. Yeah, because they're not including any copyrighted data in MAME. They never have. So it's weird to me that they would remove that, and I feel like that I'm a little concerned that is will kick off a trend. Yeah.
Dodonpachi Sai Daiuju is
I
the
believe
game. RCPS3 emulator can now boot the cross media bar in case you just hate functionality.
In case your nostalgia is more powerful than your need for functionality.
Microsoft has begun blocking dev mode on Xbox consoles used for emulation and then immediately backpedaled.
Yeah.
Causing some initial alarm and then some ongoing uneasiness of like, I didn't know that's a thing they would do.
Yeah, and a lot of the people immediately forgave them. They were like, "Oh yeah, we knew Microsoft would be the good guy." I am worried about this because I feel like that was I don't think it was an accident. I know they have said it was an accident.
I don't think so either.
But I don't think for 1 second it was an accident. I think that was an intentional thing, and part of me wonders if it was part of an agreement that they had with a potential partner, like maybe a partner who doesn't want their games emulated on their console in exchange for the rights to an N64 shooter that might be coming out.
Yeah. I will say that it's I don't know. The whole thing's frustrating. It's frustrating to me that they wouldn't just unlock the shit. Don't make me need to have a dev account, whatever. Right. It's my device.
Well, people have found ways to install it from being in non-dev mode. So you can just run RetroArch on an Xbox at this point.
Yeah.
But it's limited because it's sandboxed on the user mode. But,
It's just annoying that it's basically just an x86 PC, but you don't let me use it like that. And then I get it, licensing and rights and corporations and blah, 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 blah. But a man can dream.
Yeah, right.
New Wii U hack no longer requires buying an eShop game, so you can actually stop giving Nintendo all that fucking money for a second.
Yeah, you don't have to give them $6 to hack your Wii U anymore.
Yeah, there you go. Konami celebrates Castlevania's 35th anniversary with NFTs. These are non-fungible tokens. You might have heard of these.
Yeah.
You're going to be hearing about them a lot this year, so get ready.
Last week we already had a couple of news items about NFTs.
There you go. Just our first 2 shows of 2022, NFTs. I warned everyone.
I know.
I warned you.
Yeah.
Sega
that means
says
I blame you, by the way. This is your fault.
There you go. Sega says they'll avoid NFTs if people think it's a money-making scheme. Hey, Sega.
It is.
What the fuck else would it be?
Right?
What did Sega think it was? What did they go like? Oh, NFTs, those things that are definitely not a money making scheme.
Right.
Also, you're a for-profit corporation. Isn't everything you do a money making scheme? Isn't that like theoretically the thesis of your existence?
That's certainly what their shareholders are hoping for, anyway.
Like what a weird statement. Like, we're not going to do it if it's a money-making scheme. Well, first of all, of course it is. What planet are you on?
Right.
And finally, E3 will be online again this year. I suspect E3 is going to be online continually moving forward, but
I think they could go back to in-person in a few years once things reach whatever the new normal is going to be. But I think there is enough demand for people to be crammed in a room with other people who haven't bathed in 3 days.
Yeah.
We will see a return to that kind of thing eventually.
I know that for a lot of stuff, like, I know there's a lot of talk about things like Gen Con and stuff, because Gen Con brings in, it is like that city's entire income for the year is hosting this huge convention. And so I know a lot of these big conventions, like they're massive moneymakers for the cities that they are in.
Right.
And those cities really rely on that income. So I know it hurts a lot, especially for the bigger conventions. But I don't know that E3 was ever quite in that territory. Also, I believe they move E3 around.
They do. They sell it to whatever convention center is willing to pay them the most, essentially.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens with conventions going forward.
Yeah.
And that brings us to our topic at hand. This week we're doing the Sega Saturn 101.
Yes.
So, it's basically if you want to get into the Sega Saturn, but you're worried that Sega Sanshiro will pummel you and blow you up if you do it the wrong way. we're going to help you get around him dressing up as Santa Claus, breaking into your house and beating the shit out of your children.
Right. We'll point him towards the zombies instead.
For anyone that I know it's been a while since we've talked about Sega Saturn. If you have not watched a Sega Saturn Sega Saturn commercial, for the love of God, go watch him. He beats the shit out of children for not playing Sega Saturn. And I'm not joking. He beats the shit out of them.
Yeah. He knocks them to the ground to where they are unable to stand up and begging for help, and all he will offer them is a Sega Saturn.
I mean, oh man.
Yeah.
What a great series of commercials.
Just brilliant. That's absolutely wonderful.
As far as release info, the Sega Saturn came out in Japan November 22nd, 1994, North America May 11th, 1995, and in PAL territories July 8th, 1995. I think it was also announced in North America on like May 10th, 1995.
It had been announced prior to that, but they had said that it was going to come out in fall of 95, but then at E3 of 95 in May, they were like, but it's available now.
Are there any games for it? No. No, just go buy it.
Daytona.
It costs more than a PlayStation. Yeah, we know.
Virtua Fighter.
We don't care. As far as first encounters, I had always heard of the Sega Saturn. I knew of it.
Yeah.
But all I knew was on it was Knights and Radiant Silvergun. That's all I knew about.
That's enough.
I was like, it's the Knights and Radiant Silvergun machine. And then finally, Saturn introduced me to the Saturn. Uh-huh. So after Saturn showed me the Saturn, I went out and I bought a Saturn.
That's good.
The end. So I've had my Saturn since we started doing the show. I've purchased it. So in the last 5 years, 6 years,
6 years,
Jesus Christ,
yeah. more than 6 years, I believe.
I've bought my Sega Saturn in the last 6 years.
Yeah. I'd been interested in it before it came out. It was 6.5 years, by the way. I'd been interested in the Saturn before it came out, just because, it was a new system and I like Sega. Sega did good stuff.
Right.
But I certainly wasn't, $400 interested in it.
Right.
And so I didn't get one at launch. After it had dropped in price a little bit and started being bundled with games, one of our roommates, one of the people living with us at the time, purchased a Saturn, and they got Daytona, Virtua Cop 2, and Virtua Fighter 2 free with it. Mm-hmm. And man, we played a lot of those 3 games. And
that's what came with my Sega Saturn, guy, because I bought it from eBay, and the guy sent me, it was the little ones, the little card sleeves.
Yep, that's how they came with the system.
And he wrote me a little note in the package that said, "Have a great summer." I was like, I'm a grown man, but I will now.
Right.
So
I got a Saturn. Yeah, we played a lot of those. We played a lot of rentals. Quite a few games that are known for other systems. I played for the first time on there. Like Tomb Raider released first on Saturn, and I played it first on there. So I had some good times with it. Good memories of it in the 90s.
Yeah. Let's get into hardware recommendations. We didn't really say it in the synopsis. We just joked about Sega Saturn, but our 101 episodes are kind of meant to replace our On a Budget series.
Yeah.
Because those prices became dated immediately when we put those episodes out.
Yeah, so and also budgets no longer matter when you're looking at old video games. That's just impossible.
Yeah. So this is really just kind of like, how do you get into collecting the system? What should you look for? What are probably the best?
And if you're not looking to collect, how do you go about playing the system?
Right.
Yeah.
So I do want to start with a really important note that you put here, which is that Saturns used to be more expensive than most retro consoles.
True.
And then they came down. Now they're moving back up. The Sega Saturn for a long time was kind of considered like in the Neo Geo category of like, oh, Sega Saturn, that's crazy expensive. All the games are crazy expensive. It's crazy expensive to buy and play and collect.
Right. Yeah, it was Saturn, Neo Geo, TurboGrafx. Those were the 3 pricey classic consoles.
And while Neo Geo and TurboGrafx have remained pretty well up there, Sega Saturn is actually in a really great spot right now.
Not as great as it was 5 years ago.
True. So right now, loose consoles seem to be around the $100 to $150 range.
Yeah.
If you're just wanting the console, a controller, and probably the hookups. Yeah. It does use a standard power cable.
Well, it uses a different power cable based on which model you have.
Okay, well, I have the one with the standard power cable, I believe. There is one with the standard. I'm not thinking of the PS2,